Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Brooklyn, and I'm so excited to be here today because guess what? So many of you have been sharing your wins and I couldn't be any happier for you. I'm so over the moon. And yeah, you're all just doing so well. Before we get started, let's welcome all the new subscribers and honor all of the people who keep coming back. Thank you so much for being here and for pushing play on these episodes. It means the world to me, honestly. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to say before we get started is I wanted to say a very quick shout out to Susan. So Susan has been following the podcast for a while and she's been going away and implementing all of the things. And we also had a clarity call. I don't know, maybe it might be 3 or 4 weeks ago. She was asking for some help on her website, which her website was beautiful, but there was some different tweaks that I suggested she might want to make to it so that she could, attract more clients and things like that. Anyway, yesterday I woke up to a message from her and the message was saying something like, oh my gosh, I'm fully booked now, thank you so much. And it's because of the website. People are coming through because of the website and, your suggestions have been working. So I just wanted to say, Susan, you know what? They're just suggestions, but the wins are always yours because, so many people say that they're going to take action and they just don't, but you did. And so I want to honor and acknowledge you for doing that. And so those results are yours and yours alone, my darling. And you've just done so well and you should absolutely pat yourself on the back. And the other person that I want to say congratulations to is Kylie, because Kylie is somebody else that I work with and she shared in the wins this week that she's using a technique that I've taught her, a different process that I've taught her to handle inquiry calls. She's now been able to, she's had 10 inquiries and she had 10 conversions. How cool is that? 10 for 10. That's almost unheard of. She's just so amazing. And again, the wins are totally yours, Kylie, and I couldn't be happier for you either. And then there was Kelly, and in Australia, we're in lockdown, as everybody is, I think, at the moment. We're in lockdown and she's got quite a big team there and been a new staff and been juggling new processes and looking at ways to transition the model for the practice to support staff in being able to work from home and to support clients in transitioning back to online again from face to face. And she works with quite a challenging client population. So I'm super duper proud of her as well and celebrating. And it's just, oh my gosh, like people say to me, oh, I want your vibe, Brooklyn, like I want your energy. But guys, this is not my default state. I just get so excited when I see the results that you get. But my default state is actually calm and loving and compassionate and kind. And I'm usually pretty chilled. I just get excited when I'm talking to you. But okay, let's get on with the topic today. So, of course, I've channeled my inner guidance here and I've asked what would my audience really like some support with or some guidance around at the moment. And I had planned on talking to you about the process of harmonizing masculine and feminine because a few of you have been asking for support with that. But the guidance that came through was to talk with you about what it feels like when you're in private practice and you keep doing the same things over and over and over and over again, and you're hoping and praying that if you just keep doing it, there's going to be some change. And here's what I want you to know, like, it doesn't work like that. The success that you want in your private practice, whether, we all define it differently, but, it might be working less hours so you can be with your family more, something like that. But the success that you are going to experience is in no way correlated with how hard you work. It is correlated with how you're showing up, and it is correlated with the energy that you have, because that energy influences how you write a post, how you write a newsletter. I mean, if you're feeling a bit tired or exhausted and flat, you're probably not in the mood. That's probably not the best headspace to be in to jump on and do a video or to write the email that you want to send out to people. So I believe that more than the things that you're doing, the effort that you're using is the energy that you're bringing to it. Some people say that, they've been doing the same things over and over again and not getting this result. And, I think part of what's happening is there's also a lack of focus. The number of women that I've spoken to that just, they started the practice and they didn't put together a business plan. They just kind of, and I was the same, right? I'm not perfect either. I was the same, honestly. Look, when I was working at the Bulk Belly Medical Center, of course I didn't have a business plan. I just went and started seeing clients. There was no plan. It was just day to day. But then when I moved out of that and started working in what I call like a real private practice where I had the bricks and mortar, and I was away from that constant referral stream that was coming through from the doctors, and I had, it's out of sight, out of mind. And I had to learn how to start marketing. I didn't even have a business plan then. Nobody even told me it was a thing and that I should be doing it. And I was in all of these groups for counsellors and psychologists and social workers, and no one was really talking about the importance of a business plan. And to be honest, if you'd said to me, you probably want to get one, I probably would have put it at the bottom of my list because it wouldn't have felt like a priority. But what I know now is that you need to have some kind of vision, some kind of direction. You need to have some kind of goal in place, because without it, what happens is you get caught up in the day to day, and without having that direction, you spin in the practice, and it feels like things don't change, things don't improve, things don't get better. And it starts to feel very much like Groundhog Day. The value that I have experienced in working with coaches has been, I really, really love that, we do put together business plans. And do you know what? I've also learned that business plans don't need to be complicated or hard. Your big dream for your practice can be your plan. All right, you get to make it as detailed or as simplified as you really want, because this is the thing. If it's going to feel heavy and hard and you're going to resist it and you're not going to follow it and you're not going to do it and you're going to put pressure on yourself and it's not going to work out, it's going to be horrible. So it's better for you to write a plan. Even if it's just like one statement, that can be your business plan. By the end of 2021, this is what I would hope to be celebrating. Even if that statement alone was your business plan and you believed in it and it inspired you and it energized you and excited you when you looked at it, then that is going to be more effective than a very complicated business plan that doesn't make any sense and that you're not interested in because it's too dry. So if you're like me and you didn't have one, I would absolutely suggest you get one. And I think it's probably best for you to talk with somebody if you get stuck, so that you can create one that feels aligned with your values and that feels aligned with your why, with your big why. And that's okay. And I think the other thing that is coming through at the moment too, that I'm just observing in some of the groups that we're in, is it's still that sense of, people sort of wearing it like a badge of honor that they're a perfectionist. But I feel like when we say, and I don't mean to offend anybody, I'm just sharing my thoughts, and I appreciate you might think about this differently, but I feel when people say that they're a perfectionist, that's a bit of a flag for me. I feel like that person needs a lot of love and a lot of support and a lot of compassion, because I feel like they're probably avoiding being judged. They're probably worried that if they put something out there and it's wrong or it's criticized or somebody leaves a negative comment, I think that they're very, very fragile people or fragile personalities that are going to get very, very upset or very deeply wounded or affected by some of that stuff that can go on. And so that's why some people say, oh, well, I'm a perfectionist, so I still haven't published my website yet. Even though, and do you know what? I see this even sometimes with coaching clients. They say, oh, I want help with my website. And we go through all of the steps, and then they just have to implement it, and they will implement some but not all, and then they'll implement the rest, but they still won't publish it, and will be 6 months into coaching, and the website for some of them it's still hard because they're perhaps not yet ready to see or acknowledge the deeper fears that the perfectionism is protecting them from. I think perfectionism is a defense mechanism. And I feel like when you work with a coach that can help you learn how to validate yourself, then I think that perfectionism or that sense of perfectionism is just naturally going to disappear. I think it's just going to dissolve, and you'll be able to finally embody the version of you that feels right for you. So that's kind of the guidance that came through today. But do you want to know what I was really thinking about talking to you about? Okay, I'm going to tell you anyway. So here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, I love talking about masculine and feminine energy. And I know some of you want to learn a little bit more about that. So if that's you, stay tuned. If it's not you, thanks for listening so much. You might want to click out of the episode now. But yeah, so masculine and feminine. Here's what I understand from my teaching so far. And I'm just going to apply it to business. Okay, of course, I didn't learn it in the context of business, but I'm just going to use this knowledge as a framework for understanding private practice. So the way I understand it is we start off at maybe it's a process, and maybe you could call it a phase or a level or a stage or something like that. But there are 3 of them. I think when we first start in private practice, we're just being ourselves, right? And we're going to either be demonstrating more of a masculine core essence or more of a feminine core essence. Okay, some people will be neutral, but that's pretty rare. Most of the time, we tend to lean toward one or the other. How do you know which one you're in? Well, if you're mostly in a masculine essence, if you mostly have a masculine core essence, then you're going to be working on your policies, working on your procedures, making sure you've got good practice management systems in place, making sure you've got the right diary, making sure you've got good policies that support the practice in terms of onboarding sequences, cash management, all of that sort of stuff. You're going to be dotting I's, crossing T's, and doing all of that sort of stuff. Okay, that's you're more sort of process, planning, decision making, logic driven. If you are more of a feminine core essence, then in your practice, what this looks like is you love doing the work with the clients. You love being in the sessions, and you love making your space so inviting and welcoming and beautiful. You furnish it just gorgeously, and you get so much joy out of that. You find it very, very easy to start something, and then maybe you start writing a report for NDIS, and then a client comes and they're a bit early for the session, and you're fine with that. You don't mind being distracted. You can move very easily between things. It doesn't bother you too much. If you're owning a private practice and you've got people working with the practice, like subcontractors or reception or something like that, and they come and knock on the door while you're doing some of your own work, you welcome them in. You're not put out by that at all. You maybe have very flexible guidelines around when you start and when you finish. You love the place to be very, very sensory. So you love to have the nice music on and have a candle going or some incense. You love bringing the outside in. So there's going to be sort of natural elements in the practice and all of that sort of stuff. But as you know, there is a shadow side to both of these. So when we're mostly building or starting our private practice from that masculine space, what this can look like is we're missing out on some of the feminine because we're not totally balanced. If you have ever felt excited because somebody cancelled, if you've ever felt excited because there was a no-show, or a did not attend or a failed to attend, and you're excited about that because it means that you can just go into your room and you can close the door and just exhale. That's probably going to be a problem. If you're finding that you're getting to the point in your practice where almost the client's turning up feels like a bit of an inconvenience because it's keeping you away from updating the website or it's keeping you away from tracking the KPIs, then that can be a bit of a problem. If it's meaning that maybe you're good at the work, but the environment for your clients maybe isn't inviting and they don't feel comfortable there, that's probably a problem. These are just examples, but I'm sure you can think of your own. But when we're stuck in that masculine energy, we're missing out on other things like being able to freely express ourselves, being able to connect more deeply, and not talking with clients. Of course, we're all professionals and we're great with the client work, but maybe connecting more deeply with team, things like that. And likewise, when it's the feminine, that's got a shadow side too. So when we're moving from task to task, this can mean that we don't finish things. We start things but don't finish. We leave them till the last minute. We lose focus. We lose concentration. We get bright, shiny object syndrome. It distracts us, and we're happy to be distracted. It's like instead of writing the report, you sort of look out the window at the trees and the birds outside, and you start thinking about nature, and you start thinking about how you'd really like to be outside. And next thing you know, an hour's gone past, you still haven't finished that report. So we all sort of begin our journey with a dominant core essence. It's going to be masculine or feminine. And then if you start to learn about the masculine and feminine, what you then realize is, well, yeah, I've got this shadow side and I am leaning heavily on one area. I need to now incorporate the other. So in that first level or in that first phase, at some point you become aware that things aren't working out for you and something needs to change. And it's usually with this awareness that people will enroll in coaching, for example, or mentoring or something like that. They become aware that something needs to change, but they're not sure what. The next level or the next phase or the next stage is when you try and integrate or better harmonize both the masculine and the feminine. So what we see here is people with a masculine core essence becoming aware of their masculine core essence and the impact of that on the practice. Say, okay, then I'm going to try and lean more into my feminine. Even though it might not feel right for them, they're going to try and lean more into their feminine. And so what happens is they start to drop back, they lower their energy, they lower their focus on being in that masculine, and they start to embody more of the feminine. It feels counterintuitive, but they try and they do it, and they start to focus on, well, maybe I could make this place a little bit more inviting, or maybe I could be less strict and less firm with some of my boundaries around people coming and knocking on my office door at certain times. Maybe I could be more calm, maybe I could be more personable, maybe I could be whatever it is that they're trying, maybe I could be more creative, whatever it is of the feminine that they're trying to embody. And so they try and balance that out. And likewise, for a woman in private practice that's identified as more of a feminine core essence, she will say, well, okay, I'm aware that I often start things and don't finish them. And I'm aware that I'm more focused on things being pretty and nice and the energy of the room. And I'm less focused on my policies and procedures. And for that reason, I don't track my money. I don't have an idea of where my business is headed or going. I don't have systems in place. I'm just doing the bare minimum because it's not my area of interest. But I know it's not working and I know something needs to change. So she is going to start to pull back on her feminine energy so that she can start to embody more of the masculine. She will sit there and she will start to say, okay, well, maybe I need someone to help me with these policies and procedures because I don't know what I'm missing. Or she'll say, maybe I need to learn how to invoke or apply a policy or procedure without becoming emotional about it. For example, when I need to learn how to use my business head, that's what people say. So just giving you some examples there. But there's a shadow side for this as well. What both essences experience is a neutralization of their core essence. So what happens is now that there's this blending, they're neither dominant in one area or the other. And that in itself becomes a problem because it's almost as if now they've lost what made them unique and special. Yeah, they've lost their strength because they've had to reduce it, bring it down and neutralize it. And so with this awareness of, well, I thought I was balanced and I thought I was bringing this 50-50 energy, what they start to see is, oh, well, I don't really feel fulfilled anymore. I don't. Like I'm doing all of the things now the way that I think I should be, but it's not fulfilling to me anymore. And it won't be because they're not fully embodying their core essence. So then what happens is we move into the third level or the third phase or the third stage, if you like. And this is where they up level. And if they're in a masculine core essence, now that they've gone through this process of identifying the core essence, trying to harmonize their core essence, finding that it worked to some extent, but now they're still kind of feeling a little bit stale or a little bit like there's a plateau, there's an awareness that they want to get that energy back. Now, because they've got that knowledge, now they can safely embody that beautiful masculine energy because they understand how to incorporate the feminine, when to incorporate the feminine. And so it's not about bringing things into 50-50 anymore. Now it's about understanding the role of both the energies, having experience now with both of the energies and feeling safe to truly and fully express their core essence. And so for people with a dominant masculine, this means that their energy is going to, they're going to be energized and excited and lit up by being able to get back to doing that logical stuff that they love doing, the planning, the organizing, the doing, managing things, preparing for things, providing, they're now free to love doing that and fully embody that, knowing that there's also a time and a place for bringing on board that feminine, but they don't need to be balanced 50-50 anymore. And likewise for the feminine core essence, she now realizes that, wow, I can see where there was a deficit before in my energy and what I was doing and what I was saying and what I was thinking and how I was being and, how I was showing up. And I'm so thankful that I've learned about those masculine essences now because I finally have put my policies in place and my procedures in place. And so now I have that safety. The feminine loves feeling safe. because when she feels safe, she feels better being seen and heard, which being seen and heard allows her to connect with other people. And that's her big thing. She loves connecting. She loves loving. She loves receiving. She loves building relationships. And now that she's done that, she's also realized that the 50-50 isn't working out for her because she's dimmed her light to allow the masculine part of her energy to develop. And so now with that awareness, she's ready to go to level 3, if you like, or phase 3 or stage 3, which for her is about, okay, I've got these things in place. I feel really good about that. Now I can get back to the business of being me. Now I can just relax and I can be my radiant self because it's safe to do that. I know how to apply my policies. I've got policies that feel aligned with me, that feel easy to apply, that feel good, that feel like they're embodying this sense of love and connection and authenticity and the values that mean so much to me and my clients and my practice. And so they're the stages that all of us go through. I went through them, and it's a journey, and it's not something that takes like 3 sessions. It's not something that can be done in 1 session. This is, I guess the best way to describe my personal experience with this was it was a process and it just took time. And I was so nervous. I mean, first of all, I didn't know how to define my core essence. I couldn't figure out for myself, for love nor money, if I was more of a feminine core essence or a masculine core essence. And then upon realizing that I was, more of a feminine, then what I became aware of was that, well, okay, because of my feminine, I have been lacking some of these systems and processes and stuff like that. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and then life happens and it teaches you a lesson, right? And so then I was able to put all of those processes and pillars into the practice. And to do that, I had to pull back on some of that feminine energy that I was bringing in. And then, although I got to a point where I felt like I had really strong boundaries in place, and it's constant as you evolve and as you learn and grow, your practice reflects that change, that learning and that growth. So, it's never finite. You'll never just make a policy and leave it there. As you grow and change, you will update your policies, for example. Then I realized that I had to stop being in that feminine space so that I could give my focus to these masculine things that needed doing. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, well, I think the masculine's kind of done now. It's never done, but that's what I was thinking. I've just been honest with you. And then I was like, what's next? I really want to get back. I'm not feeling overly fulfilled. Like I feel like I'm ticking my boxes, but this isn't feeling as good as it was when I was back in stage 1. How do I now progress that? And so it was by being able to create that safety for myself that now I can get back to the beautiful things that I love to do, which is celebrate everybody's wins and support them and love them and care for them and connect with them and tap them on the shoulder every once in a while and check in and say, hey, it's been a little while. How you going? I miss you. What's your news? What's happening? I love, 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 love doing all of that. And I can now. And now my practice energizes me and it's an absolute joy. I get excited in the morning because I know I'm seeing clients. And I get excited in the morning because I know I'm going to learn something today because I'm always doing courses. I'm getting excited in the morning because I know I get to go and play on Canva or record a podcast or make a nice Facebook post or ask questions or help people or do all of those things. I mean, why wouldn't I want to get up in the morning? Like, it's just, I feel like I've been able to create for myself the best life ever as a result of understanding this stuff about the masculine and the feminine. And that's why I share it with you, because if you're interested, I want you to have the basics of it so that you can start to apply this for yourself. Yeah. So if you have any questions at all about the masculine core essence and the feminine core essence and your private practice, do let me know either on Facebook, Instagram, or send me an email. I'll put my details in the show notes. If you like this episode, please give it a like, share it with anybody who you feel might be interested in this kind of stuff too. You know, birds of a feather, we all flock together, don't we? And I want to thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. I think it's 20 to 11, and I'm really excited because I think it's the first official day of the Olympics today. And I'm really excited to go and watch the men's gymnastics at 11. So I'm going to leave you here. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here. Love you loads. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.